Hello lovelies, I'm the Fragnostic, and tonight we're preparing to blast off into the infinite cosmic meadow we call outer space with PHANTARUK, which combines survival horror with adventure and stealth mechanics. Expect true shivers down your spine as you fight for your life, not only facing the dangers of the Purity 2 spaceship, but most of all, when you try to get rid of toxins continually destroying you from the inside. Sounds like a trip to fucking Disney World on Mars, doesn't it? Come on then gang, all aboard. Don't forget to pack your oxygen, you're not having any of mine. Make sure it is oxygen, not oxytocin, which will induce an early labour in pregnant women, and Christ knows what in the rest of you. Or an ox, another very common mistake, which is a large bovine animal and therefore not breathable, as well as being prone to violent panic in confined spaces. If you have, in error, brought your oxen to the launch station, Fragnostic Voyages is happy to store them for you in the large grey building located next to the kebab van. PHANTARUK is a far less frustrating title to review than it is to experience, if only because everything outside of its actual gameplay is great. As with a great deal of first-person survival horror titles, you begin by shakily regaining consciousness in a foreign environment to try to piece together why your surroundings are completely deserted, but for roaming steroid terror beasts and zombies that lurch around bashfully in their underwear like you're a cop that's just kicked down the door to their ketamine party. Stuck in a cruel future world where men are desperate enough to steal their comatose colleagues' shoes, even in the middle of an evacuation, your only line to human contact comes in the form of an onslaught of notes, diary entries, and audio logs that are found or automatically triggered in your exploration of the barren ship that stitch together a troubling tale of a killer virus and an ancient cult that seek to punish humanity in the name of their formless nightmare god, the titular PHANTARUK. While the hulking desolate vessel you find yourself trying to escape is incredibly atmospheric, thoughtfully constructed, and unsettling as pierced ears on a cat, practically every mechanic in the game itself seems intent on sticking out from that eerie ambience like a clown at a funeral. PHANTARUK has your characters suffering from a deadly viral infection that requires constant antidotal boosters to stop it from killing you outright. You monitor your infection rate with a device on your wrist, but if you can't be bothered to check that every 10 seconds, your vision will start acting up like some little shitbags graffitiing your face, so that you know when it's time to take your medicine. Wallop a booster in your arm, everything goes black and white like you're reminiscing about how there weren't so many damn immigrants around in the good old days, and you live to shit your pants another day. These can be found at extremely regular intervals throughout the ship on your routine wanderings, and seeing as they helpfully glow luminous blue in a near pitch black environment, don't require much in the way of exhaustive searching to collect, but they are in fact so easy to find and so numerous to the point where I had about 9 left over by the time I finished the game that it all seems a bit pointless. I mean, I get what they were going for, take amnesia where your sanity and survival is directly tied to the resource management of a limited consumable in the lantern, but outside of an occasional screen overlay, the virus has absolutely no bearing on your actions or the way you play the game. You never feel like even the most remote sense of panic is setting in at any point over your need to scavenge for these life-saving pharmaceuticals, which makes it both worthless in a survival horror game and something of a relief when measured against your pitiful sprint meter, a weedy stripe that feeds the conspiracy theory that not only did the bastards take your shoes, they also stole your lungs and replaced them with a condom full of tar. But whereas a short sprint in any game is at the very kindest irritating, here it can be downright lethal, especially when it is often your only defense against your enemies who quickly go from being fittingly threatening to an inconsistent pain in your twitching arse. There's not a great deal of these encounters in PHANTARUK. The game's only around 2 hours long with extended exploration, and nearly half of that is spent in clerical purgatory, frozen in place either listening to or reading the story. But whatever skirmishes you are involved in will come down to a running match against either these alien bodybuilders who strut around the ship like they're listening to Bootsy fucking Collins, or the zombies, the former of which seems to be at least as fast as you are. Now the little eye in the corner of your screen tells you if you can be seen or not, but that variable is often just outright ignored as you cower hiding in a room, only for a game over screen to slap you in the face when one of them decides it can see you anyway, charges in and punches you to death. There are very few rules of engagement here short of fuck you, making sections like this one where you attempt to pick your way through a scattered mob of the hopelessly infected a tit-for-tat fiddly migraine. Nothing seems to have a set patrol path, which, is a small victory for realism I guess, but when these bloody things crawl along like a milk float over a hill of horse shit and you're standing there waiting for it to just fucking commit to a direction so you can get on with your day, aggravation trumps any fear factor that Phantaruk has going for it. God help you if one chases you down a corridor and you manage by some miracle to escape it, because slowly following it back up that corridor feels like you went to climb Everest, ran out of money and had to hire the discount Sherpa with no fucking legs. Perhaps the weakly implemented mechanics of Phantaruk are a symptom of the game wanting to tell a story far more than it wants to sit in any sort of serious gaming medium, because if as much care went into them as it did in the plot, we'd be fighting a very different beast. The voice acting and writing is solid, even if you do find yourself wishing that the game would just show you something rather than litter one small room with 5 or 6 mini encyclopedias. Phantaruk is pretty damn far from awful, just about edges onto the straight up mediocre line to be worth a playthrough, but it is a somewhat disappointing conflict of interests that amounts to trying to read a book while texting an idiot.